Hello everyone, my name is Kevin, and this is going to be the demo for the mobile app neurocognitive assessment project. We work on this project during the spring 2024 semester. So right now what I'm showing is the COES platform. This was the initial introduction that we had for the program to understand how everything works and how everything was stored. So right now I'm going to show you how it looks like. Perfect. So as you can see, the one of the main purposes for this web application is to create the surveys or studies that the medical provider is concerned to their patients. As you can see here, we have an example of a test study that was added. If we go into the details, we have the different options where we can see the surveys created, and these surveys are sent to each individual. Here we can edit and change the type of questions that are going to be asked to each person. And this will be based on whatever neurological disorder the person might have, so that the questions will help them evaluate, or simply just to keep them as logs for whatever the situation or whatever the case may be. Here with MySQL, we can actually go ahead and check the data, how it's being saved in the database. So you can see here we have the example of the study case that was created, the one that I just showed, with all the details and information about it, including the invitation code. Usually, in order for a user to access a specific study, they need to input the unique the invitation code, which is the one that we can see over here. And then we have here an example of the survey summary, how it is also stored in the database, and we can have the basic information about it as well. And this essentially, like I mentioned, covers the first part of the project, like the first intro that we had on about the core platform, how it worked, and to get an understanding of how everything was set up in order for us to proceed with the next few steps. Now I'm gonna pass to Anthony.
Okay, so to tag along with what Kevin was displaying, you have the CoiWS platform running in the background, and the REST API connects to the CoiWS platform. And so now, a big part of the CoiWS platform that we need to take use of is we need to add the neurological assessments along with the studies. And so, in here, when you log into the app, you can see that these are the current studies I'm connected to on my mobile device. This connects to the CoiOS application. And so a a major stepping stone for this project was to merge the actual neurological evaluations along with the studies that they would later be connected to. So this helps us to collect data on the patients, and we can save that later on, as I'll show you. And so here you have the current games that are merged from the NeuroTask repository, and they each have their functions. And so with these different tasks, for example, the grandfather passage, it would tie into the survey and the results would be saved as well. So, with the grandfather passage, you read the passage with the voice and you are evaluated based on your performance there, just like with the memory test when you flip the card to match all the pairs that were previously shown. So, if we tap into the memory test here, for example, you can see the functionalities it has. So, it actually records your mobile device with request, of course. And so, here we'll allow it to do so. And you'll see that you have the memory game. And you have each of these cards. So this actually came from the NeuroTask repository, as I had previously stated. And to merge each of these games, it was important to merge all of their necessary dependencies. And each of them had various dependencies because they all have different functions. And so for this one, for example, screen util was one of the major dependencies that we had to incorporate and update. And that is used to scale the screen for the game. So if we wanted to make it smaller, we can, but we scaled it to be full screen as intended. And we also had to incorporate the function of the buttons. So here, for example, it would navigate back from the current context. And now we're back to the main page. And you'll see that right now we are on the NeuroTask Games tab. These tabs weren't here previously. Before, it was just the surveys tab. we incorporated these so that we can use them in testing to display our results and what state we are currently in. And along with this, we also had to incorporate sensors. A big reason for this was for us to gain the full power from the local device for evaluating patients. And so later on with games like the Trace Save game with Chris and Juan, they will show you later on that you can use the device's functions, inner functions, to gain better results and save the user's data. So here on the phone, you'll see that we have the sensors display page. So the purpose of this page is to test each of the sensor functionalities, right? So as of right now, when you log into this page, each of the sensors on the local device begin listening. Now, what does that mean? The sensors are basically being updated in real time. And so you have these buttons to stop each of the sensors, right? So let's say I wanted to stop the accelerometer from listening at the moment. What the files in cache will do is this shows which sensors were accessed the previous time you were logged into the application. So when you stop one, it saves it to the file cache, which I'll show you right now. So you stop the accelerometer listening and you log out of the application. When you log back in and you go to the sensors page, you'll see that it saved the accelerometer's data into an output file. And so with that file, you can send it over to the REST API via the server, uh, just like so. Uh, Before I send it, I'll show you in the REST API there's actually no files saving the sensor data. But now, when I go to send it, you'll see that an accelerometer log appeared. We had done so via post request, given the functionalities of the REST API. Here you'll find the sensor data. Okay? And so this actually works for each of the sensors available, and each of the sensors have different functions. So if we actually go to a different tab and we go back, you'll see that each of the sensors were stopped once we left this page. This shows that you can access all the sensors separately and individually for whichever task you are trying to accomplish. So now I'll pass it on over to Chris.
Hello, my name is Christopher Pond. I'm the team lead, and I worked on the Neurotask part of the application with Juan, Juan Blanco, and two games were specifically trace shape and the motor function. Trace shape being utilizing the Flutter UI infrastructure and the programming language Dart to detect finger gestures, such as pressing and dragging across the screen. And the movement of the finger has the ability to paint an outline of the figure on the screen's canvas, right? And for the motor function, which was based on the trace shape game, instead of tracing the shape with the finger, the user traces the figure by moving the phone in the space in the shape of the figure. And it employs the mobile phone's available sensors, which was developed by Anthony, and in particular the accelerometer to track the phone's movement. And my teammate Juan will uh, uh, help further.
Hello, yes. Hello, my name is Juan Blanco. So I worked with on the trace shape and the motor function apps. So as Chris described, the trace shape app, the purpose is to use your finger to press on the screen and to draw the outline of the figure, as so, right? And uh, you can you have multiple menu options here. Uh, Originally, this part of the project had a bug. Okay, the bug is that the user, if the user uh, started to draw and then for whatever reason lifted their finger off and proceeded to draw again, the original line would disappear, but that is no longer happening. So um, you have different menu options here. You can reset it, draw again, and then you also have a submit button here that can submit a screenshot of the test. The next app, the next app is the motor function. Okay, the motor function is quite unique. It is based on the code base of the Trace game. Um, However, it is different because it uses, instead of your finger to trace the outline, it's supposed to use the movement of the phone in space to trace the outline of the shape. Okay, so this means that it has to rely on accelerometer data to accomplish this, and the accelerometer data comes from the package that Anthony wrote, ported it into the code, right? And it allows me to listen for accelerometer events, which is just basically whenever the accelerometer updates. So as you can see, I move the phone, and there's a line is also extending in the direction of the movement. This is still a work in progress. This project was significantly more challenging than what I had anticipated because it turns out that the accelerometer uh, doesn't uh, is very difficult to control. Okay, the actual behavior of the accelerometer, it has some quirks, um, and there's actually extensive research out there about the behavior of accelerometers and how to employ accelerometers to track movement. So in here, as you can see, I move the phone. Uh, it doesn't quite translate proportionally right to the screen, right? But as you can see, there is certainly there's movement, right? But it is very difficult to control uh, the phone and translate the movements of the phone uh, properly to the movement of the cursor on the canvas. So this is certainly still a work in progress. Uh, so there's still a lot of room for improvement. Um, but I certainly did enjoy it because it did allow me to learn quite a bit about accelerometers and uh, the other onboard sensors on the phone. I also employed here a magnetometer. Okay, basically the magnetometer measures the electric field, the Earth's electric field has been detected by the phone. Um, so I use that uh, basically uh, to control the effects of tilting the phone, because when you tilt the phone, okay, the um, accelerometer also moves. So that has the adverse effect of showing additional movement of of the drawing, even though it was not intended because of that tilting of the phone. So uh, this is still certainly a work in progress, and but it was very much very enjoyable to work on. Thank you very much.